Hello, welcome back to the BBC4. You're listening to Doodle Talk. What's up, all you doodles and doodlers out there, you schemers and dreamers, and welcome back to another episode of Doodle Talk. This is episode 34, I believe. Welcome in, welcome back. Come on in, have a seat. Let's start this bad boy. Just at the top here, want to talk about last week's episode. I was trying to be, I didn't really have too much to talk about, so I actually wanted to kind of just, like always, this podcast is kind of me kind of going over what's on my mind and how I'm feeling about art and things like that. And, obviously talking about pertinent things when they come up, or if I have a really strong opinion on something that I want to talk about that week. And last week was just feeling kind of down in the dumps, just art-wise, like, not like life-wise. I don't know, it's kind of hard. Like, obviously they're connected, because it's like, if you're feeling troubled with something that's a huge part of your life, or like what you're trying to make as part of your career, like it affects you obviously in life and in many ways. But I was just feeling really like just struggling really hard with like figuring out what I want to do, kind of like moving forward, just with the whole like art and YouTube and everything. And definitely just because I was like, I'm not going to talk about it and like try and gloss over things, right? Or like not be real about it, because then it just was all, for me especially, if I try to do that, it's all going to just sound fake, or like I'm not going to be able to hide it. I'm really bad about lying about certain things. If it's like I don't know, like if it's something where it means a lot to me, I'm really bad at lying. Or like, I'm really bad at like not just saying how I feel about something if it's like really, really important to me. Which is why I think I do terrible, and like I don't do well like not working for myself, like having a boss and stuff like that. It doesn't gel with like my DNA as a human being. So I'm always like, I've always hated like having to like report to someone, or like doing those kind of jobs. Growing up, had all kinds of jobs, and like, you got to do what you got to do. And I'm sure there's a situation where I could work at like a studio or a company or something where I would probably be happier than I am now. Like, I'm not denying that, but I just don't like that kind of, I don't know, I don't like that kind of thing. And if it's something strong that I feel strongly about, I need to talk about it. And that also includes like my like struggles with just freelance, and like struggles with trying to be an artist, an independent artist, right? And I just wanted to kind of like lay it all out there and like let everyone know how I was feeling. It was good. A few people kind of hit me up, and because I know that like I'm not the only one, and a lot of artists feel this way. And the whole point of me trying to talk about this stuff so openly and kind of like being somewhat vulnerable, and me just like kind of talking about it, the whole point is to hopefully help out other artists that are feeling the same way, or like have had these kind of feelings before and stuff like that. And in no way am I ever trying to just like be a victim, or like woe is me, or anything like that. I mean, I know I talk about this, I always like preface these kinds of things saying that, but I feel like it probably bears repeating just in case anyone I don't know, because it's always tempting not to do that, because sometimes it backfires and you just seem like a really annoying, whiny person. Or like we get it, dude, you don't know what to do, like you don't have to talk about that every time on the podcast. I get that too, but I think when the feelings are there and the emotions are there, and you feel like you can be open and vulnerable and talk about it, it's kind of nice. It's a good thing, because like, I don't know, man, like, first of all, there's not many art podcasts like out there, and I'm always looking for more. So if you're listening to this right now and you have like other art podcasts that you think are cool, like please let me know. And the other thing is, because I'm always searching, and I do listen to a few, and a lot of them unfortunately kind of go for a year or two and then kind of peter out, or like they have to stop just because life and I get it. I totally get it. That's why I do a solo podcast, having guests every now and then. But there's a reason that I like keep it so simple and so like it's a one-man team. There are 10 people behind me, like doing all the lights and the audio and stuff like that. But besides my team that are like behind this curtain thing or this door, like it's just me, right? I only have 4 writers. They're all on strike right now though, so I can't use them. So that kind of sucks. But like, when they come back, like the show is gonna get a lot better. No, so I'm doing everything myself. But the other thing too is like, most of the time art podcasts are like interviews and stuff, which is cool. Like I get it, obviously most podcasts in general are interviews, right? But actually like my favorite kind of podcasts are always the ones where like I always say my like OG favorite podcast is Your Mom's House with Tom Segura and Christina Pazitsky, just because like back in the day I was working at fucking Pizza Hut and I had to drive around all day delivering pizzas. And you can only listen to music so much before you get burnt out. And that's really what kind of like turned me on to podcasts in the first place. Because there's a few that I was listening to. But Your Mom's House is so good because it was just them two. Like this is way back in the day too. It was just them two, like just talking shit, just having fun. They're both comedians, so it's like they're just messing around. But they just started like finding funny clips on the internet and like they would play them and like finding these crazy weird people, dude, and like just going over that and like creating all these inside jokes. And like they do have guests on. They started having guests on after a while and they still do to this day, but they also do like the solo, just the not solo, but the duo podcast where it's just them. They have crazy production. Like me joking about having people like that's legit. They have like studios, like buildings that they built out for that shit, and it's like a podcast network now essentially. But yeah, so that's always been my favorite kind of thing. And like the thing is too is like in the past few years you've seen like YouTubers kind of starting podcasts. Like The Yard is a pretty good one. That's like Ludwig and his friends, but that gets a little too crazy. I can't listen to that all the time just because it's like it's funny. I like it. It's nice to put on, but it's a little too much sometimes. Just because they're always like talking over each other and like it gets a little crazy. I mean, obviously like Trash Taste is one of my favorites because it's just the 3 of them talking. They have guests on every now and then, but like what I'm trying to say is like my favorite podcasts are the ones that like I'd say Your Mom's House and Trash Taste are probably my 2 favorite podcasts right now. And the reason I love it is because for the most part it's always just like them catching up, them just going over recent stuff. Like Trash Taste goes over like they live in Japan, so like I have this connection with them where it's like I actually understand what they're saying, like what they're going through when they talk about or complain about stuff in Japan. But they also talk about like anime and games and shit like that. It was supposed to be like an anime podcast, but just kind of ended up being a normal, just general life podcast with like anime sprinkled in every now and then, which is actually so good because I think that makes it so much better. I don't really listen to any like just anime podcasts or anything like that because, like I was just saying, just catching up, shooting the shit, like being just real, being just in the moment. Cold Ones is another good one. That one's kind of funny just because it's the 2 Australian dudes who like they're always drinking and stuff too, and they always get their guests like fucking hammered. So that one's kind of a little bit on the other end of the spectrum where it's a little bit, but they're still shooting the shit and it gets really real because sometimes they just get drunk and start like talking about real, like getting more real than they would have been otherwise. But like all that's to say, right, is I really enjoy these kind of just like general life kind of like it's like you're hanging with the homies kind of podcasts, right? The Ramen Bowl, some of my homies from Texas, they're still the Ramen Bowl, but they used to do a podcast every week or every other week, and I fucking loved that podcast because they were talking about like a bunch of different stuff, like games, card games, not tech, but like like mostly in the game world, right? But and anime and movies and stuff like that. But they stopped doing it, which sucks because I really loved listening to them. Bring it back, boys. Bring it back. Bring back the ramen bowl. I did an episode when I went back to Texas last year, and that they never fucking aired. God damn it. Because they stopped doing it right around then, and it just shit happened, and it never got released. So there's a secret episode, and it was so good. We talked about One Piece for like 45 minutes. I brought them sake too, so I brought them a bunch of sake, and we were drinking it, and it was so much fun, dude. Like, I mean, we didn't get like blasted or anything, but you know, we were getting a little tipsy towards the end, and just talking about all kinds of shit, and it was so nice because I hadn't seen them all in forever. Man, it was so good. Shout out to the ramen boys at the Ramen Bowl. If you follow like card games, like One Piece card game, check them out because they do stream stuff on Twitch, and they got a lot of stuff in the works. They have a lot of stuff that they're kind of doing just more in the like physical world, not really online. But yeah, all of that is also just to say, like, that's the kind of stuff I like, so that's the kind of stuff I want to produce. And I feel like, again, this is not me trying to come off as pompous or whatever, but there's not a lot of people making podcasts like this in the art world. There just isn't. And if there are more, please let me know, because I want to know and I want to get better at, like, I want to have things to reference and like things to kind of see, like, and how to improve and stuff like that, right? Jesse Nyberg was one. He's a graphic designer, and he had a really cool podcast, but again, it was just like interviews. Why Do is Boring Friends and Overset Text, two other designers. I've mentioned them before. They're working on like the second season, but again, that's mostly just interviews. And I told them, like, they sent out like a thing to like, what would you like to see in season 2, or like any like tips, or like you know, what's your feedback? And I told them, like, I would not mind you guys just talking more, just shooting this shit, like being more open and just saying whatever you want to say, and like for longer than just an hour, you know. But yeah, so I don't see a lot of podcasts like this that are just, and there's a reason, right? Not everyone loves this kind of like podcast, and you run out of content, right? You run out of things to talk about if you don't have a guest. If you have a guest, it's more interesting. You're bringing in different crowds from like the guests, fans or viewers, and then, you know, the people who watch you regularly. It's obviously a really good idea to have guests if you're doing a kind of more like interview type podcast, and I totally understand that. But I like it when people do just more like general, just kind of like, it's like, we're the hosts, we're here, we're just going to talk about XYZ, and it doesn't need to be art or whatever. Like, it can be anything. It just, to me, needs to just be like kind of entertaining or like insightful and like fun to listen to. So I'm working on doing that. So it's like, I want to be, you know, I want to be real. I want to like give this view that I have. I want to be able to kind of give my real time kind of like what's happening to me real time, as like someone who is not a really established artist, who is trying to, you know, obviously become more successful and become better at all this stuff. And like, I hope the way I can rationalize it is like, I hope that because this is somewhat of a unique view where you don't really see this very often, that I can provide something that's not there, and not there in like large quantities, where you don't really have a lot of the time, right? It's like people who are already successful. Like, the one thing I don't really love about like when I'm searching for like art podcasts, and I've seen a few that are kind of cool, and I definitely check them out here and there, and I've watched a few, listened to a few episodes, but it's like a lot of them are kind of just like how to make money doing XYZ, or like this is how you get sponsors, or like this is how you, it's more like business side things, which like is great. I think that's really important, and I love like being able to get insights on that and stuff by listening to those. But it ends up kind of just being like a weird like commodification aspect of it all, where it's like you're not talking about art, you're not actually talking about art or like the struggles. You're kind of just like making it like it feels like sometimes those types of podcasts would just be better off just being a regular YouTube video, you know, because a lot of people do make those types of videos. And I could play the devil's advocate and say to myself, like, well, you enjoy listening to podcasts a lot, so like having that form, and so maybe you don't want to watch a 10-minute video because they don't get into enough detail about it. You'd rather watch an hour-long video of someone talking about like how to get multiple revenue income streams and stuff like that, you know. And I would say, yeah, you're right. Like that's totally true. The thing is, I have nothing against that. I'm just saying, like, that's kind of what a lot of them end up gearing towards, because it's like obviously better SEO, it's more clickable, it's more what people like actually want to know. When you ask somebody to essentially just like listen to you talk about like whatever, like you have no like, I'm not like, sometimes I don't even decide what I'm talking about until like literally right before I record. And when you're like kind of asking someone to give their time and like dedication to always listen to you or become a fan or like do that kind of, it's hard. You're asking a lot. You're asking a lot for someone to just, you're being like, hey, why don't you invest yourself in me based on my personality and like what I provide through talking and like and my art and stuff like that, right? So it's hard. That's what all artists are essentially doing. But it's even harder sometimes when it's just a semi-long form podcast where you're just like, it's about art and freelancing and animation and drawing and illustration, but it's also, you know, just me rambling about stuff. So yeah, it's hard. That it's all hard, right? When you think about it, it's like, this is kind of going off of what, you know, I was talking about last week. And but just to wrap up the whole like podcast thing, right? I was thinking about scrapping the video last week and re-recording it and kind of tackling that idea in a different way. And I said, no, you know what? Just fucking let's push it. Let's push it through. Let's print it. Let's go. Let's just put it out there. And hopefully, even if it might seem annoying to some people, hopefully for those who are in the same spot, me being vulnerable and like just open about how I'm feeling and how I'm struggling at right now, like hopefully that'll help, because I think that is ultimately, you're gonna have people who don't like what you're doing no matter what, even if you are super successful. So you might as well kind of like lean towards what you think is actually going to be most impactful, right? And that's a lesson I'm learning right now, and a lesson I'm trying to stick to. And that's why I like making this type of podcast, and why I stopped. I've tried out a few different kind of ways of doing this podcast, and I'm starting to settle into kind of just like let it be free flowing, have a few major talking points that I want to get to each time, but besides that, it's going to be a lot of just like, what's up with me recently, how am I feeling about things, and yeah, just go from there, right? And I'm enjoying that. That's making it so that I wake up every Saturday when I record these, and I'm excited. It's obviously work, but like it doesn't really feel much like work, and that's how I'm able to keep going and keep doing this. So it would just be the cherry on top if doing it this way is actually what's going to like reach more people and be more impactful and inspiring to other people. So I hope that's the case, and yeah, that's why I do it this way. If you've ever wondered too, like, of course I've thought about doing this podcast a million different ways, and it could change in the future for sure. Like, Ryan DeFries is going to come back on. We talked about Japan last time, but where he'll be on soon, possibly tomorrow. And we're going to talk about some other stuff. So like, I am going to like change things up every now and then. But because last week was a little bit of a bummer, and it was just like me in a real-time kind of like midlife art crisis kind of thing, I wanted to make sure that this week is positive. So I'm going to like kind of sort of segue off of last week's topic and have a nice little positive twist with something, because there was a topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and it actually kind of connects into mostly what I was talking about last week, and it has a nice positive kind of thing to it. So don't want to have 2 bummer episodes in a row. Yeah, thank you if you watched episode 33, but this week will be a little bit more positive. Alright, so now that that is kind of addressed and I said what I wanted to say about that, the only housekeeping is there's no housekeeping. I don't have any new videos or any art that will be up. The last thing that I posted was the Nausicaa Shaman Pokemon What If video. And just briefly, kind of, because I left it a little bit up in the air last week, and I've decided I'm going to try and just for the next month or two, like really just feel it out and see what kind of schedule I want to put myself on. Definitely will be posting at least 1 or 2 like other art videos on my YouTube. It's not going to be a weekly thing. It may not even be a bi-weekly thing, because until I figure out like a more I don't know, a better system, or like just more of what I actually want to do, I don't want to pressure myself, because I was getting really close to just like forcing myself into burnout, and then that would probably have led to like a month or so where I just don't post anything. And then once you lose the momentum like that, it's like it's all over basically, right? You would have to just fully regroup. So I'm kind of like nipping it in the bud before like my arm is poisoned, and I'm just chopping it off right there, and like we're gonna salvage what creative energy I have left. And I'm excited because it is like I get to go back to the lab again, and I have a little comic. It's like a mini comic that I'm working on, which is actually going to be part of, I'm super excited about this actually. I'm working on a little mini comic. It's about 7 or 8 pages long, and it's trying out a style that's a little bit closer to like that kind of like monocolor, 2-tone, almost like risograph, riso printed kind of style that I've actually done some riso printing here in Japan, and it was really awesome. The place was kind of far away, and I didn't have enough work to like go back to it, so I kind of stopped. But I'm really excited about that. And the cool thing is because I have a bunch of like these little like short story ideas and stuff, and so I have essentially what I'm going to create is like a little like for these little comics, because normally when I make a comic it's kind of just like a weird like random one-off kind of thing. I don't have the patience or the time really right now to like try and make like a long series or anything like that, and just currently I have more fun just like thinking of things. But I was like, it'd be kind of cool if they're connected in some way. So I'm essentially creating like an anthology series where it's kind of like just like random little short stories that are going to be short comics. And the first one is in the works. I mean, I'm making a video for it too, so I don't want to like talk about it too much, but yeah, it should be really cool. I'm excited. I'm hoping to actually finish that soon, and then the video will probably be finished a little bit later. That'll probably come out early to mid-August. So that is, I guess, the other kind of like housekeeping thing. But everything else, it's all up in the air. I'm thinking about it. I'm just having fun, kind of just taking a step back. I'm going back to Texas in September, so I'm looking forward to that. I have a few things planned in August. I have so my buddy Jace is coming down in August, and we're gonna go to the Pokemon Worlds in Yokohama, which is really cool. The Pokemon Worlds is like where they do the tournaments for like the VCG, TCGs, like card games, the video games, and it's just going to be a huge event. This is the first time apparently that it's ever been held in Japan, which is weird. I guess the VGC is the main thing, and I guess that's more popular in North America, or just like the West, So I think it's normally held in America from what I can tell. And that's going to be cool. We didn't get tickets to anything. It's kind of impossible. It was like a lottery system, and we were too late anyways. Plus, it would be really expensive. So we're just going to chill out around there. We're going to go hit up some other spots too. We're going to go skate too, which will be fun. There's a cool skate park in Yokohama. And once I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, we definitely got to hit that up. Yeah, so it'll be really fun. And I'm going to try and make like a little like kind of vlog style video from that, which is not something I normally ever really want to do, but in that type of situation I think it'll be really fun, and I think it would just be a shame not to kind of just record it, because Jace makes little YouTube videos too, mostly for skating or with Pokemon cards and stuff in those videos. So those are great too. Go check out Cuddle Puddle or Raichu Skater 69 on YouTube. I think those are the handles. I'll double check those later. But Cuddle Puddle TV, I think, is the main one they're pushing right now. Shout out to Jace and Nico. I'll see you soon, buddy. That'll be fun. So a lot of different stuff kind of on the horizon, but because of these things, it's summertime. I have to like give myself a little bit of time off, right? So with the perfect timing of that, I was like, okay, then this is the perfect like excuse, if you want to, where I'm still working the whole time. I don't know. I'm still gonna be making videos but I'm gonna be trying out like kind of some new stuff, and if I don't hit 3 or 4 videos every month, it's not a big deal. And I'm going back to Texas in September. When I come back, like October, November is when I'm gonna like really ramp up again and like go ham, because November, at the end of November or early December, will be the 1-year anniversary of Doodle Talk, and essentially me like starting up my YouTube channel again. So that's gonna be really cool, and I'm excited. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now, and I think that's probably the healthiest way for me to do it right now. If I keep pushing too much, I just don't think it's gonna turn out well. So that's where I'm at with that. No more housekeeping or anything. I do have one like slight, and I keep talking about like the social media apps and stuff, but I think it's just kind of like because it's for artists, like we use them and stuff, right? So I think it's pertinent enough. But it's just so funny, dude. If you haven't heard, Twitter is changing its name to X, like just X. It's now X. I don't know, man. Like, I know a lot of people are fucking memeing the shit out of it, and it's like, dude, are you legit? Like, is this? Because I've heard too, like, people are thinking like that he's legit trying to just like bankrupt the company, and one of the only ways he could do that without like getting kind of like charged for it, or like that he can do it legally and safely, would be like just consciously making all of these terrible business decisions to the point where the company just fails so badly that it just has to file for bankruptcy within like, I don't know, the next year or two. And he is like, I tried my best, but I couldn't make it work, and like, he gets off scot-free or whatever. And I think that's hilarious. Like, I could actually see him doing that. He's like, I said I wanted to make like the public discourse were for freedom and democracy, but really I just wanted to run it to the ground and get out, jump the ship. That's a possibility. Elon's a wild guy, but I just think it's really funny. Terrible just business idea, branding decisions, just even the way he was just like he like asked people like make a logo, and if it's good enough I'll use it as like either like the temp logo, or like I want it to be like crowdsourced or whatever, which is like, the fuck, dude, the fuck are you doing? So it's just obviously it's an X. And then the stupidest thing is, right? Well, I think there's two stupidest things here. One is you just took Twitter, which was literally one of like the biggest one of the biggest social media apps, right? Not really even like the biggest, but it was up there, top 10, I think, right? And you took a brand that, even though it's not like top 2, top 3 social media apps, its branding was one of the best, because everyone knows what a tweet is, everyone knows the Bluebird, everyone knows Twitter. When you have something that is so recognizable that it's like, I'm gonna Google that, I'm gonna tweet about this or that, right? When you have something that's so iconic and recognizable like that, and you get rid of it for just because you're like obsessed with the letter X and you want to be like edgy and like rebrand it for whatever reason, I think that's really dumb. I think that's incredibly dumb. you are just undermining the entire company that you bought. And for whatever reason, like, to me, it's like, if this was him starting his own social media company, sure, go for it. Like, do whatever you want. But he bought it for 44 billion. It's worth like 20, I think, 15 or 20. So he's already like tens of billions of dollars in the hole. And then his goal too, he keeps talking about like, he's essentially trying to turn it into WeChat like they have in China, which is hilarious to me, because it's like, wait, you wanted to buy Twitter so you could like get rid of the bots and the misinformation and like start fact checking things properly and like verify people, which is also like, he's hard on verification, where it's like there's no anonymity in that. You're essentially taking away people's free speech at that point, which is there's so many contradictions. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's like, he wants to turn what he thought was like something that wasn't democratic and wasn't allowing enough free speech into essentially the biggest monopolized social media app that runs every aspect of your life, and he would have complete control of and all the data for. Like, have you seen what China does? Like, do you really think that's a good idea? He's talking about how big X could be in like the next X amount of years, right? It's just so dumb. I'm not gonna keep harping on it. The other funny thing though is just, it's X. Do not choose something that's just X, because you know why you don't do that? There's tons of porn sites and all these like not savory websites that use X whatever, you know. I mean, even just like X videos is a porn site, right? Everyone knows that. And even just thinking like, because it's like, you have your, you know, you got your X's. He calls you're making an X is like when you're tweeting, right? Your tweet is an X. But then it's like, it would legit be easy to just accidentally say like an X video or something, and it's like, dude, like, as like someone posting a video on the X site, right? I don't know. It's just really dumb. There's so many dumb things there that I can't really get into all of it, and I legit like, Elon Musk is a smart guy, you know, like intellectually he's smart, but I don't know if he's trolling with all of this. I legit don't know. And I don't know, it's fun for me to watch, but it also sucks. I don't use Twitter, so it's like, whatever. I was thinking about trying to get into Twitter again recently too, but I'm like, no, that's not happening. Just because it's literally like probably not going to exist within, I don't know, as short as like a year. The company literally could just go under, bankrupt, and just become dissolved, or like, I don't know. It's really dumb. But let's not go too far on the topic there. Those are my thoughts on the new Twitter change and why I think it's really dumb. I'm not like I know this just makes me seem like I just hate everything Elon Musk does. That's not the case. I think he's done some good things. He can be smart sometimes, right? But it's like with any like CEO billionaire guy, where it's just like, I've said this before, but I think those types of people are so removed from reality that it's just like, he's got to have like 20 yes men around him who would like never challenge anything he says. So I don't know. I don't think there's enough. There's not enough reality for those types of people. So they just start kind of doing these things that we'd see and be like, that's crazy. What the fuck are you doing? But to them, I think it just seems normal. And he also might just be trolling. But I think that's a really, really dumb troll. And you're kind of just, because you're fucking it up for people who actually liked the platform, and you're just making it easier for Meta to like literally take everything over, just capitalizing on all of your mistakes. So I don't get it. If you're trolling, it's not a very good troll. But yeah, that's it for that, and let's kind of shift gears back into a more positive thing, like I said we would. So last week, right, I was kind of just detailing how I'm feeling, how I'm struggling with a lot of art stuff recently, how I don't know what I should post, how much I should post, kind of just like debating like, man, is it worth it to keep posting stuff on YouTube when like I really, should I just keep making Pokemon what if videos forever, or like do I go into more personal work? when I know that in the past my personal work, like the Doodle Island animation, took me like 2 weeks of like incredibly hard work and got like nothing, no engagement, no views, nothing. So how do you find that balance, right? What do you do if you're stuck in that kind of situation? I was talking to one of my friends, and he said something really great that I like a lot, and I even wrote it down. I want to kind of talk about it because I know he's struggled with like kind of the same thing. He's one of my old homies, growing up. Ryan, shout out, different Ryan from the Ryan that's been on Doodle Talk. But yeah, we've always had these types of conversations where it's like it's a soul searching kind of thing, and it's like you kind of, that's why it's nice to have, I miss that community of like just seeing a lot of my friends, and especially some of my artist friends, daily or weekly, you know, like I used to back at uni and just when I lived in Texas. And because you have a support system there, and if you have the ability to like have your friends like that around you, like please like use them and like support them, right? But yeah, we were just talking, and he said something great, because he was like, I definitely relate to that, blah blah blah. And he said, it's funny, right? Because success isn't about how good your content is, but the placement of it. And I know that's not a revolutionary idea, and I've even talked about that, right? It's like it's how you present, and how you present yourself, how you present your content and stuff. But the thing that kind of like, this was just such a good way to say it, I thought, because but the placement of it, like using the word placement instead of just like how you present it, or like all the other ways you could have said that. I really like that. It kind of like struck a chord with me. And its success isn't about how good your content is, but the placement of it. And I thought that was great, because I was also saying, I think even in the last episode, right, I was like, there are people, you know, and there are people who are making stuff that may not be as talented as you, or like not even putting in as much work as you, but are way more successful just either as an artist or a streamer, or, you know, like a TikTok star or whatever. And it's you know, you get envious of those people, you get jealous, you get like, you have to like contain that and like really just be like, it's fine, like it's not a big deal, like don't let it negatively affect you, right? But you do see it, it's something you notice, and you're like, damn, if they're doing it, why can't I do it, right? And so in one way, it's like a motivator to be like, all right, I can like compare myself to this person in like certain ways, and be like, all right, am I up to this point where I could be doing this kind of thing, right? And so it's good, but it's also bad. But it just brings up the point of like, it's up, and this is the thing, right? It's like, it's up to you. You're ultimately the one who's going to make it easier or harder for you to be more successful, right? This is where like you can compare and say woe is me all day, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to make that kind of like change. And I liked that, because it kind of like, it's a harsh reality, right? This is the thing, it's a harsh reality, and it's a hard truth. It's a really hard truth. It's a hard pill to swallow. But here's the thing, is you can kind of take that, and you can kind of just like I was saying, use it as a motivator, but also you can use it as like hey man, it's all good. Like if you keep doing it, like you'll be all right. Because one of the other topics that I wanted to actually talk about as its own Doodle Talk is the idea that good things come to those who wait. And I've always hated that expression. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I fucking hate that expression, because it's leaving out like, comparing it like as an artist. I know that's a very general life quote, where it's like, if you're patient, things will come. And obviously there's like all these underlying meanings that are just it's not literally just wait and things will happen, right? But I don't like that quote, because especially as the way it pertains to an artist or somebody who is trying to become successful in something, you cannot just wait, right? You have to put in the work, and there's a level of consistency and hard work and effort that is required in order to make those good things happening. Like the real quote should be like, good things come to those who wait and persevere, or something like that, right? That still keeps it simple enough. And I know I'm nitpicking a fucking like parable quote kind of thing, right? I don't even, that might be from the Bible or some shit, right? I don't know. But it always was like, I feel like that quote isn't enough, right? Good things come to those who wait isn't enough, because really the thing is like, you have to, like I said, like you have to keep working, and the more effort you put in, the more good things will come out. And I saw this, the reason I was thinking about this too is I saw, I don't know, this was like a month or two ago, I saw this graph. It was a chart. It was a graph of like work and like gratification, or essentially like output and success. And it was such a good insight that I really liked. Instead of just like a straight line, right, that from like oh my god, like on the, like a straight, like a chart where just it goes up, right? I forgot what it's called when it's not like a squared, oh my god, squared function, right? Because they were like, people think of success like this, like it's just a straight line that just keeps going up. So for every unit of effort that you give on the x-axis, there's more success being output on the y-axis, and that's not how it works. That the reality of it is it's a curved slope. And it was this graph where it's like, essentially it was like this, where you start out and for a long time you're putting in the same amount of work and you're putting in all this effort, and the success on the y-axis isn't going up. This is what every artist does, right? Like in the first like 5 to 10 years of their life or their career, like as an artist, right? And then gradually it starts to go up. And that's because you've put in all this effort like consistently over years and years and years, and you've been there, you've been grinding, you've been really trying, you've been experimenting, you've been doing different things, you've been approaching things intelligently, you've been trying out a bunch of different stuff, you've been posting in different ways, you've been getting better as an artist. That's one of the main things, honestly. And eventually it starts to go up. And I really liked that graph, because that is so true, where like people just think that like, or people think that it's like it's almost like it stays stagnant, right? And then all you have to do is have one viral video, and then boom, it pops off, right? Like here's this line, oh, and then I went viral on TikTok in May 2020, and then boom, I'm just super popular. Like that's also not true, right? You, for however viral you go on something, if you have not put in the right amount of work and don't have the right amount of stuff to show for it, you will either just lose all those followers or the people who like your work, or they just, you won't actually gain that many, they won't stick around, all those kinds of things will happen, right? And I think it's so important to remember that. And it's kind of an encouraging thing, right? Like I said, like the being jealous and like comparing yourself. I did a really early Doodle Talk where it was like, I forgot what it was called. It was like jealousy as a motivator, I believe. And it was a way of like being like, if you're jealous about something, if you have to just compare yourself to someone, do it in a way that is going to motivate you to be better, and try as hard as you can, obviously, to like block those thoughts out and like not let it consume you, right? That's obviously an important thing. But this is kind of like another way of thinking about it, where it's like, just know that like, whether if you're struggling right now or if you have been in the past, like if you keep your head down, you keep trying, stay smart about it, like stay motivated, stay inspired, and just really just keep trying, that just over time, with enough effort, with enough work and a little bit of luck, you will see improvement, or like more of the success that you would like to see. And as hard as it is to hear something like that and just think like, yeah, like easier said than done, right? Obviously, I think like 99.9% of the time it holds true, which is good, but then that means it becomes one of these hard truths. And I love a hard truth in life. I don't know, like the hard truths suck, dude. Like you don't want to go run, but when you go running, you feel amazing after. And like, it's those kinds of things. I love those types of things. Like even if it's like, I don't want to draw today, or like, I'm kind of tired, I'll just like fuck off. But if you sit down and you actually draw, like 99% of the time, you either just end up having like tons of fun, or like are so glad that you did, or you even hit that like flow state where you're just like, shit, I'm gonna keep drawing for like another 3 hours just because I can, right? Those kinds of things are super important. But anyway, right, all that's to say is I just wanted to kind of talk about those two ideas of good things come to those who wait and persevere, and the realization, the hard truth that success isn't always about how good your content is, but how it's placed and its placement, right? So those are two things to mull over. But I definitely want to just leave this off on a good note of like the kind of uplifting message of like, if you're unsure, if you're not sure about something, that's fine. Like I think the most important thing you can do is just not give up and keep going, and stay motivated to whatever degree you can be, and work as hard as you can within your limits, and just keep trying, because once you kind of realize the thing that you can provide that other people can't in your own special way, that's when I think you really have a good shot at kind of like being more discoverable and people liking you and liking your stuff. Maybe they like your art because you're not like other people, or you just have this one thing that they really relate to, and that makes them kind of feel like they want to support you, or like they want to see more of your stuff or listen to more of what you have to say. I think that is a very undervalued aspect of today, especially with trends and all these kinds of like copycat kind of things going on. The value of someone's individuality is so important today. And in order to stand out in the crowds of thousands and millions of people who want to be YouTubers and artists and musicians, you have to have something that is going to be, it doesn't have to necessarily be better than other people, but it needs to be different. And that's beautiful, because if you had to be better than everyone, it would be a slog, man. It would just suck. Everyone would just be practicing just technical foundational stuff, right? But the beautiful thing is, you don't always need all those foundational things in order to create something that will resonate with another person. And that is one of the true beauties of like art and expression. And if you can kind of like tap into that a little bit more than you are right now, or you have in the past, like that is such a key to unlocking the door of becoming like an actual really kind of valued individual as an artist. And I believe though that is why most of the people like that you gravitate towards or you like as an artist is because you can kind of have this connection with them that you can't have with other people like that. And that's something to strive towards. So if you take away anything from last week's episode or this week's episode, it's like, just try and be true to yourself. Find the thing that you think kind of makes you a uniquely individual. Build upon that slowly over time, because it's something you can't force. And just try and take it, run with it, and kind of go with the flow. And, just don't give up and stay motivated and keep working, because over time, that's when, the eventual success or fulfillment happens. So I think that's a pretty positive message, and I think it's a good place to leave off on. And thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around. If you're here at the end of this episode, then like legit, I know you're someone who actually like probably enjoys Doodle Talk and listening to me talk about this stuff. So here's a special thanks to you. If you're listening to this right now, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I cannot express how much I actually appreciate it. And I hope you'll keep listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.